Stellantis in serious distress. Could they be bankrupt in 2 short years? I mean, we look at Carlos Tavares and his contract is expired in 2026 when he's handing over the reins to the next governing CEO. Unfortunately, what we've seen is increased prices in all of their arsenal. Where there's Jeeps, they overshot drastically what the expectation of the consumer is. Now buyers just can't afford them. Full-size pickup trucks, the Ram, as they transition from the V8s and V6 engines now into a twin-turbo straight 6 called the Hurricane, people are showing less interest in that. All in the midst of this time, this transition to the EV market, where the EU Union, every European manufacturer, Stellantis is trying to get ahead of that. They promised to create 14 new models as of 2026, but now everything's off the table. Even the CEO is saying that they may even have to look more aggressive tactics. We heard last week about the doghouse, where they're looking deep down at the financial end of the game, where they're possibly looking at cutting costs on POs, trimming down the expenditures, and non-essentials are going bye-bye. But now clearly the doghouse isn't going to solve all the world's problems for Stellantis. Sadly, they've isolated themselves from the US market. Now the American buyers have elected to start swinging over to GM, over to Ford, where they're seeing maximum profits on a lot of their vehicles. They're seeing increased profits on their full-size trucks. A lot of that coming in the way, of course, of, as we've constantly mentioned before, in terms of fleet sales. But even their walk-in sales by the consumer like you and I are still doing vastly better than anything Ram could possibly dream up. I mean, we're at 140, 150, 160 days supply for Ram trucks. You even pull up the data online and you're finding that the sales are not there. 2022 model years, check Car Gurus, check websites, they're all over. And people are asking, why do I not see them on the lot? Because it's embarrassing. It's absolutely soul-crushing for these manufacturers, these dealers, to see 2022 and 2023 model years sitting on the front row of their dealership. No, they're there, but they're on a back lot. Yes, they're hiding them. They're putting them back so that when the odd traffic comes in looking for a drastic discount, those vehicles are available. But the problem is nobody wants them. Sales are in the toilet. They're losing about 50% of their profits, and the projection for budgets are down about half. So seriously in a world of hurt. We're seeing all kinds of recalls. Now some of their smaller vehicles like the Hornet and the Tonale, they have a brake issue, the latest recall. Also plug-in hybrid vehicle Jeeps, possible fire hazard, more recalls there. Electronic glitches on the Rams affecting some of their drivability and safety in their braking systems. Again, another recall. The recalls just keep mounting, and only Stellantis can counter what Ford is currently going and owning, the king of recalls. So Stellantis is struggling with sales down, day supply up. They've got inventory that mounts back to 4 or 5 years now. Bankruptcy is almost an inevitability. They're actually looking and contemplating that nothing's off the table, and there's a strong possibility that they may in fact start parting ways with some of the American products. You know, the Ram, the Jeeps, the Chrysler, which only currently has a minivan in the Chrysler portfolio. Nobody wants it. It's overpriced and it's unreliable, allegedly, according to a lot of customers and consumers. Even Dodge, they've clearly isolated a lot of their buyers with vehicles like the Challenger and the Charger, which have pretty much eliminated the V8 engine, which was the heart and soul of those vehicles, are now going pure EV. Stellantis, in all of their infinite wisdom, thought they had this foresight to get ahead of their competition with transitioning into electric vehicles much faster than everybody else, and tried to beat the shortcoming market back in 2022 by overproducing a number of vehicles and highly jacking prices. The flip side is that all backfired. People decided not to buy. They looked for all their alternatives. They looked for more affordability. And these vehicles clearly are just not selling. The American market does not want the electric vehicles either, and that's a big part of this challenge. Trying to pitch a product to a customer that doesn't want it. It's like trying to sell ketchup to a man with white gloves. But on one hand, you've got the CEO saying that because Europe is falling behind China due to EU regulations and the transformation to electric vehicles, that is the exact thing that is holding back the brand allegedly these days. On top of it, the UAW and the CEO Stellantis are going head to head with challenges because we've seen Stellantis already have to lay off numerous of people. The Belvedere plant is shutting down, or a big part of it. They're planning to shed about 2,450 workers. On top of all of that, their cost-effective vehicles like the Ram Classic is going bye-bye because of that Belvedere plant, and the over-hiring of new workers, which was planned as part of the 2023 agreement, looks like to be on hold. So there's a big fight between UAW and Stellantis management. One saying we can't really afford to take these chances right now, and you're also crossing a line legally. And the other side is saying, well, wait a minute, we've got a contract in place and you're not following it. So clearly there's internal struggles within the organization. Prices are too high, demand is too low, the quality is too low. And now with the CEO ready to jump off the ship, bankruptcy, in many opinions, may be looming, particularly for a lot of the North American brands. We've already seen a lot of the models shifting back. We're seeing drastic reductions in products like the Jeep Compass, which looks to be seeing discounts of 25, 30, 35% off of base sticker just to try to move them in the Brazilian, the American, and the Canadian markets just to try to get them to sell. They're not selling. People are on to what these overprices were. I mean, inflation was big. Inflation over the last 3 or 4 years, we've seen 3 or 4% year over year in core inflation, and yet Stellantis has decided to electively drop on a natural inflationary adjustment to the price of their vehicles closer to the 30-35% year over year, drastically outrunning the actual cost of inflation, which is a literal slap in the face of many customers. It's no wonder Stellantis isn't selling vehicles. People are learning, people are going elsewhere, and quite frankly, with the industry average transaction price dropping down in the last series of months, we've seen, according to Cox Automotive, that now we're down to about $48,000. The average transaction price is down, and it's not because of the $90,000 Ram pickup trucks, because people are looking for lower cost vehicles like the Hondas, the Toyotas, and even the Mitsubishis, which have enjoyed and flourished in massive sales this year. So while the entire automotive industry is very volatile right now, there's pockets of success. It's like Toyota with the deliver on time method, or Honda because of their reputation, and in fact Acura and other products like Mitsubishi because they have one of the lowest cost vehicles on the market. There's some great sales stories out there for manufacturers that have continued conducting business. And even the likes of the Fords and as well the GM products are selling trucks because their fleets are popular. And fortunately for makes like GM, a lot of their smaller EVs are selling, and including Ford, and their Maverick is one of the best selling vehicles on their entire arsenal. They have their little niche vehicles that are pulling them through these rough, volatile times. Unfortunately, Stellantis has missed the mark. They don't have those cost-effective vehicles. They don't really have enthusiast vehicles anymore with the Challenger and Chargers going away. We're seeing Jeeps now going for $80,000, and clearly the value proposition is not there. We're actually seeing strikes, UAW strikes, challenges, but Stellantis clearly demonstrates what happens when you have your own vision, you ignore what the buyer actually wants, and you go over top everybody, step on every sets of toes and fingers on your way up. For example, like the workers, the very people you rely on to build a quality product, are now being pushed to the side and ignored. It makes you wonder, how much longer can Stellantis survive this storm?